the moment, 11-2 on course. Cop Sale Lad, it's just over 5-1 at the moment on the exchanges, and that's where the money's coming in for at the moment. Cop Sale Lad, Nicky Henderson's horse ridden by Mick Fitzgerald, that's 11-2 on course, same time as Taranny, but on the exchanges Taranny is a much bigger price. Nowhere is 9-1, that's being supported as well. Kanjar Dallier going out to 9-1, 2 forward 12-1. If you want to back that on the exchanges, it's around 14-1 at the moment. Tamarin Blur and Graphic Approach and Tumbling Dice are all 14-1. New Alco 16-1, and just nibbling at Exotic Dancer in the Sir Robert Ogden colours at 18-1. But Vodka Blur solid at the top of the market.
Running for the Paddy Power of 2006, and the early pace Cheltenham. Also up there is Nowhere, and on the far side of these Neo de Bayo. Doesn't seem a furious early pace at this stage. They go to the first fence and they're all over it safe and sound. So Neo de Bayo has pulled his way to dispute the early running then with Nowhere. Cheltenham right behind these with Cop Sale Lad, and also to the fore as well is Taranis. The back of the field there, held up Butler's Cabin and Exotic Dancer, the two Jonjo O'Neill train runners. Vodka Blur, the favourite, is in the middle of the field, racing on the outside of Taranis, the Paul Nicholls train top weight, as they go towards the third fence. Mistake there by Cheltenham. Kanjar Dallier not all that fluent on the inside, but the new leader as they emerge from the side of the course now is Nowhere, who leads from Neo de Bayo, Cheltenham, with Cop Sale Lad next, then Taranis and Vodka Blur, and then just behind Vodka Blur is Graphic Approach, with 2 forward tracking on the outside. Kelrev is next, followed then by Tumbling Dice, Tide Caster, Kanjar Dallier, Tamarin Blur, and then New Alco on the outside in the pink jacket. Butler's Cabin and Exotic Dancer bring up the rear as they make their way towards the home straight. Coming up towards the 4th and 5th fences now. Rising at it in front there, Nowhere, just the leader. They're all over it safely. He leads narrowly from Cheltenham and Neo de Bayo with the red headgear. Taranis racing in 4th place, Ruby Walsh, tracked there by Vodka Blur as they took that. Graphic Approach is tracking Kelrev and Cop Sale Lad on the inside of these. Also Tumbling Dice, who's just running around a bit in the early stages. The pace isn't a strong one by any means. Then further back in the field, Kanjar Dallier in the middle of the pack at this stage, followed there by Tide Caster, 2 forward in the middle of the field too as they make their way up the hill. Then comes Tamarin Blur, New Alco, and then towards the rear still Butler's Cabin and Exotic Dancer. The field only separated by about 8 lengths as they come down to what will be the last next time round. It was very hard to pick out who was in front there, possibly just Nowhere in the colours of Raymond Mould as they head on up the hill. Pressed now by Cheltenham. Neo de Bayo is 3 deep on the course. Taranis has 4th place all to himself. Just behind him on the outside is Vodka Blur. Graphic Approaches, Pink Cap is next. Kelrev saves ground, Cop Sale Lad and 2 forward racing together there. Neo de Bayo was a little bit tardy at that particular fence, didn't put off Taranis though. And then looking back to Kanjar Dallier, who saves ground the grey all the way up the inside. Tide Caster is next. 2 forward has lost a place or 2. Tumbling Dice in no hurry, Tamarin Blur, New Alco at the back, and then Butler's Cabin and Exotic Dancer to content to wait as Nowhere leads them down the hill. Nowhere is a faller and almost brought down Cop Sale Lad. Great recovery by Mick Fitzgerald, but Nowhere is up on his feet. The horse is okay. Tony Evans still lying down. Come back to him in a moment. The water jump next. And it's Cheltenham taken on by Neo de Bayo. Neo de Bayo going on with Taranis on the outside, travelling comfortably. Tracked though by Vodka Blur. Moving up just behind these now, New Alco goes pretty well. And then Kelrev, it's a nice jump up the inside. Kelrev, Kanjar Dallier, last year's 3rd, is travelling very nicely as they took that open ditch, and they make their way now towards fence number 11 on the far side. Jumping in front, Neo de Bayo from Kelrev. 3rd then is Taranis, then comes Cheltenham. Vodka Blur just being niggled slightly there for a stride or 2, but he's travelling okay. Kanjar Dallier, Tide Caster is next, followed then by Tamarin Blur, Tumbling Dice, and then 2 forward. Exotic Dancers making a move as they go up now to the ditch at the top of the hill. Super leap there by Vodka Blur and brings him right closer to the leaders. New Alco also jumped that particularly well in the pink jacket at the back. Tumbling Dice has lost ground, is now being driven as they make their way now to the highest point of the track and swing left-handed down the hill towards the last 3 fences in the Paddy Power of 2006. Neo de Bayo from Taranis going strongly in 2nd place. 3rd is Graphic Approach. Vodka Blur now rises to the challenge and moves up stylishly on the outside. Then on the inside is being pushed along Kanjar Dallier, Kelrev behind the these Tamarind Bleu, New Alco, as they come down towards the third last. Vodka Bleu and Taranis touch down together with Graphic Approach, but it's Vodka Bleu and Timmy Murphy who go on now, heading off down the hill towards the second last. Taranis is chasing in second. Graphic Approach third. New Alco is next. Here's the second last. Vodka Bleu jumped to Taranis a faller. Taranis is down there when in second place. Ty Caster was interfered with and lost his rider. And Vodka Bleu, could this be a famous victory? Comes round to the home straight. Exotic Dancer and Tony McCoy, though, stalking Vodka Bleu. They're racing up the hill. Exotic Dancer's come from miles back. Vodka Bleu has the lead, though. They're coming to the final fence of the Paddy Power. Exotic Dancer has taken Vodka Bleu up the hill. In third is New Alco and Graphic Approach. And Tony McCoy and Exotic Dancer have come from last to first here, and they're bounding clear up the hill, and Exotic Dancer is going to record a famous victory for the Jonjo O'Neill team and Sir Robert Ogden's colours. Exotic Dancer wins the Paddy Power. Vodka Bleu and New Alco second and third, and Butler's Cabin was fourth.
Exotic Dancer, ridden by the champion Tony McCoy, 16-1 at return, although £168 was matched in running at just over 30-1. Second was the 4-1 favourite Vodka Bleu. New Alco ran a great race in third at 16-1, and Butler's Cabin, another horse for Jonjo O'Neill, in fourth at 20-1.